Hey, mama, is parenting and breastfeeding a little harder than you thought it was going to be? Ha! Well, that's my story too. I'm Maria Chaudhry, and I'm the creatrix of Song Botanicals. And 21 years ago today, I gave birth to my sweet baby boy. Oh my gosh, my birth was awesome. I gave birth outside in a pool of water. I had an ecstatic birth, not quite orgasmic, but definitely ecstatic. And I got to give birth on my terms. I felt so empowered. Holy smoke. I was already an apprentice midwife. I had been to like 65 births before I gave birth. And then when it was my turn, while it was much harder than I thought, giving birth was so awesome. I loved it. Everything about it. It was long and it was hard. It was 3 days. I went like well over my due date. I was 43 weeks and 5 days. I had a lot of pressure on me to like hurry up and give birth, or I'm going to have to go to the hospital. And I gave birth and it was awesome. And then it was time to breastfeed. And I have this whole vision of just sticking my baby on the boob and it working because it's natural. Dun, 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 dun. That was not my story. It was really hard to breastfeed. It was really hard. I had a crying baby and I was not making enough milk, and I was the expert. People would call me and ask me questions. Hey, can you help me? And I could always help them. But then it was my turn, and I didn't know what to do. I didn't know what to do. I had people call in the lactation consultants and the midwife coming and, telling me I needed to formula feed and the whole 9 yards. And I went from woohoo to always wanting to do right by my baby, but also so believing in breastfeeding and not believing, like I did not have it in me that somehow it wasn't going to work. And so when it came to me like this, I was really defeated. And I don't want to use the word failure, but that was the word in my mind. I am failing. This is not working. What am I doing? So what did I do? I cried a bunch. I tried to get a bunch of help. And then what did I do? I learned, I went to the herbs. I went to all the books and started looking at the books for the herbal remedies. And I remember reading like blessed thistle, really bitter, marshmallow root, kind of like mucus. And I thought, well, I'm a badass. I can just drink this tea. So I made all these herbs together, blessed thistle and red raspberry leaf and fenugreek and marshmallow root, and drank it. I mean, I could not, I could not stomach it. It was like way not good. And so then I'm like, okay, okay, no, no, no. I'm a believer in the herbs, but that's not gonna work. And at the time, this was 21 years ago. At the time, there were not a bunch of lactation options on the shelf for me, right? So I had to figure this out, and I was determined. So I got the herbs. I had all those herbs, right? And so I ground them up in a coffee grinder and put them in this little pill capsule maker, and I made them into capsules, which took forever, hours upon hours to make a few capsules. So while I could swallow the capsules, it was better. It still took way too long. I was not able to keep it up. I'm still failing, but also still on my path. I don't know why it took me so long to figure out the most obvious thing. Like now, in hindsight, it's the first thing I would have done is I would have made a tincture out of these herbs. But you need a tincture takes 4 to 6 weeks. And so that's too long. And I needed something quicker. But by the time I got to this point, I figured out I could make a tincture. And at the same time, I was nursing him and I was trading massage. therapy because I was a massage therapist with a friend, and I was getting breast milk from a friend, and she had this 10-pound plump baby, and I had a 5.5-pound skinny little sweetie little baby. And so I was getting her thick, rich milk, right? And I was making this tincture. And I was also giving sometimes a little bit of goat milk. So I was trying all the things. Make this tincture. Finally, we're at the point where I can take this tincture and it's starting to work. I'm like, what the wow? I can actually, for the first time, feel myself being engorged. I was never engorged. I can feel myself being engorged. And then he was able to nurse and he was able to have regular bowel movements. Now, his growth wasn't off the chart all of a sudden, but he was like plumping up, meaning hydrated and having regular bowel movements. And I was engorged and I was able to kind of turn the corner. And what happened when I made these herbs and put them into a tincture, what I did at the time, I didn't realize it, but I had created Let There Be Milk. Let there be milk. Like, let there be light. Let there be love. Let the golden manna from your body come through. And that was Let There Be Milk. And I was just enamored with the result, and my baby was doing better. And so I made a whole bunch of it, like a big quart jar like this. And I shared it with a couple of people, and they were starting to have the results too. And it was like, what? This is helping? And it's like, you know it. You know, I believe in the herbs. I know that breastfeeding works. And then when it works, you're like, what? Wow, this is working. And just so grateful to the plants for always being with us, and so grateful for the women who came before us that were like, nurse your baby. And I feel very, very, very fortunate for I grew up in the 1970s and I saw breastfeeding was really normal. Like it was super, it was rare. It was rare to see a bottle fed baby in my community. And also, I come from a midwifery training where my mentor midwives are from the 70s and they were older, and they kind of have this like kind of grit where they're just like, you're gonna nurse your baby, stick your baby on. And now I know in the modern world, we have all different paths. So I'm not saying what my path is right for everybody else, but I'm just so grateful that I come from that wisdom tradition of trusting your body, find a way, you will succeed. It is possible. And let the herbs help you. So that's what I'm here to remind you of. Let there be milk. Because today, my son was born 21 years ago. 21 years ago, I would say Song Botanicals was born. Now, legally, from the company perspective, it was born in 2009, but in spirit, Song Botanicals was born. It was born with this postpartum herb bath, and it was born with Let There Be Milk. And I am here to say 21 years later, when you're in this most raw place, this most vulnerable place, when you have some root in wisdom, yet, and it is filling you, but the forefront of your mind is confused, is lost, doesn't see clearly, but there is the seed inside you. I am here to remind you, loves, listen to the seed, water that seed inside you. Find your own still small voice and navigate your way. And that part that you're struggling with, that hardest thing that you're doing, that is the thing that is keeping you up at night, that is truly bothering you, within that experience, is embedded in that experience, is gold, is a gift, is the solution that not only is of service to you, but also might be the very gift that propels your life work for the next 20 years of your life. So embrace the challenge. Embrace, allow yourself to fail and allow yourself to find your solution that's within you, that works for you, not copycatting somebody else's solution. Find your pathway. And I promise you, within that is a gift that is far more special than just the gift of the moment, of the solution of the moment. There is this ongoing eternal gift that keeps giving. Because not only do you learn how to trust yourself when you're in the throes of self-doubt, confusion, and overwhelm and overload, you learn how to find your center and find your way and you navigate through. That is a lifetime skill that will serve you. And we go through stages in our life that are important for the foundational stage, for the next stage. So what we learn when we're pregnant and what we learn when we're postpartum and what we learn when we're breastfeeding and what we learn, all those skills and experiences during this phase of our life helps us when we're mothering older children, helps us when we are in perimenopause. It supports us that same way because each phase we're going to come face to face with a place of confusion, a challenge. We're not going to know what to do. Here I am I'm in perimenopause right now, and I'm starting to have all these experiences. And I get, what do I do? And so I remember I have the capacity because I've done this before. I'm going to trust my wisdom. I'm going to look to the herbs and I'm going to find my way, even if it's messy. And it's not going to be somebody else's way. So, with that, I'm celebrating the birth of my son, the birth of me as a mother, the birth of birth song, the birth of trusting your wisdom, even when you don't trust it with your mind. Celebrating the gift that is in failure and celebrating let there be milk and offering it to you, reminding it to you, even though it was conceived 21 years ago, it is still a top, best, well-known, world-renowned, world-trusted by thousands upon thousands upon thousands of women to support their breastfeeding. Now, if you need a little help while you're breastfeeding, turn to Let There Be Milk and see if it does for you what it's done for me and thousands of other women. You can find out more about it on our website on birthsongbotanicals.com. And in the search bar, put breastfeeding, and you will see Let There Be Milk and all our breastfeeding products and a whole bunch of blog posts all about breastfeeding, all about the challenges of breastfeeding. And as you know, there are many challenges that you're facing. So with that, my love, I bow to you. I say thank you, and I honor the journey that you're on.